Hey guys, welcome to the WWE podcast. Tonight we are reviewing Monday Night Raw that aired last night on September 28th, 2020, with thoughts on Drew McIntyre against Robert Roode, a returning Robert Roode for the WWE Championship, Randy Orton disguising himself as a janitor to attack the Legends, and we get to your voicemails. It all gets started right after this. Are you in a position where you need to sell your home? Perhaps you're facing financial difficulties, or you're facing a foreclosure, a divorce, or maybe you're just relocating because of retirement. Maybe there are some other debt issues and you just need to sell your home. Well, here is a great solution for you. And that solution is Bright Realty Investment. They are a leading real estate solutions company, and their mission is to work hand in hand with all parties to handle every situation with the utmost professionalism and care. So if you're in a particularly stressful financial situation right now and you need to protect your credit, then don't waste another minute. Head on over to brightrealtyinvestment.com. That's brightrealtyinvestment.com. And when you go to the website, there's a really easy form you fill out that's right at the top, and they'll get back to you immediately. So why wait? Don't let that divorce, that retirement, or other bad debt situation take control of your life. Take control back and head on over to brightrealtyinvestment.com where they can buy your house, protect your credit, and get your life back on track. Again, head on over to brightrealtyinvestment.com.
Welcome to the WWE Podcast, the most passionate and authentic wrestling analysis on the web. We've got you covered with every Raw, SmackDown, and NXT show, giving you a no bullshit opinion. We know you love wrestling. We do too. So let's get this show underway.
And that's the bottom line. What? 'Cause Stone Cold said so.
Hey everybody, welcome to your Monday Night Raw review for September 29th, 2020. Hope everyone's doing well as we kind of roll on in the week here and set our sights on Hell in a Cell. And that is the next pit stop for WWE before the all-important Survivor Series. And then WWE closes out their year. So believe it or not, guys, there's only a few pay-per-views left in 2020. Think about that. I know that it's September 29th, but 3 months from now, which is about 3 pay-per-views from now, you're looking at the end of the year. And then it's on to 2021, of which we are all just itching to get to. So thank you guys for joining me. We're going to get into the Monday Night Raw review and all of my thoughts, including the end segment with Randy Orton using night vision to attack the Legends. And some of you may think you know what I'm going to say about that, but my thoughts and reaction may surprise you, so stay tuned for that. How about that for a hook? If this is your first time joining us, thank you. And those that have joined us for many months or years even, much appreciated. Your support is why we are here. Again, as our slogan says for our show, we are a podcast by fans for fans. So thank you so much. Follow us on Twitter. Yeah, we have Twitter. Shh, don't tell Twitter because they'll come after us. At wrestling_audio. That's at wrestling_audio. I really do probably mean that. I will not be surprised if I just get a notification one day that your Twitter account's been banned for trying to circumvent the system, because I already had that happen a couple of months ago by trying to recreate a new handle. So if somebody gives out the details and is a mole for Twitter, well then Twitter goes away again. I'd like to not have that happen, but follow us there while you can. Also on Instagram at WWE_podcast and on YouTube at youtube.com/the WWE podcast. And that's really where we're at, guys. And I'd love to interact with you. The schedule, by the way, for the rest of the week, tomorrow, really fun show. I'm really looking forward to tomorrow's show because it is the show I've been looking forward to and talking about doing for quite a while, and that is the wrestling nostalgia on Muhammad Hassan. So those that have been asking when it's coming, there's your answer. Tomorrow. Tomorrow I will be doing a complete show on Muhammad Hassan, somebody, again, that I've been looking forward to discussing with you guys for quite some time. So All right. Well, if you want to get in touch with the show, super easy. Real WWE podcast at gmail.com. You can also, again, on Instagram, you can always DM me. Just slide right into our DMs or just hit us up on Twitter, guys. I mean, it's easy. If you want to also leave a voicemail, you can do that at, let's see, get the number here, 518-952-0247. And we have a few voicemails tonight that I'm going to get to and respond to. And but first, I want to let you know that the Botch Guy, originally scheduled for tonight, is going to be joining me on a very special draft edition of the show on October 9th, which is a Friday. So the very first night of the draft, the Botch Guy will be joining me here on this show and discussing the draft of night one, immediately following SmackDown. So that show will actually be dropping that night. Normally, I record the show the next day, and you guys don't see it maybe for a day and a half or 2 days later. Tonight, or that night, we will be doing a joint reaction to draft night one on October 9th for SmackDown. So head on over, by the way, to the Botch Guy on YouTube. Hit subscribe. See what he's got to offer. I think you'll be really glad you subscribed because, again, entertaining, fun, you name it. Very, very, very unique, and I mean that in the best way. He's not like your normal YouTuber that discusses wrestling. It is a very informal but real way that he reacts to certain moments in a very passionate, energetic way. Check him out on YouTube, The Botch Guy. So he'll be joining us here next Thursday or next Friday, not this coming Friday, but next Friday night. So if you're up super late on Friday night or early Saturday morning, you'll see the show come your way. So, all right, let's get to the voicemails and start with our first one.
Hey Matt, it's Jim calling about the WWE title picture post-Clash and post-Raw and the range of feelings I'm having regarding it. After Clash, I was thrilled. I feel like, to me, it was the end of the Orton-McIntyre story. All the legends, except for Edge, got their revenge. McIntyre got the win. And, I think they're saving Edge. Let Edge and Orton have a match at WrestleMania, but to me, not for the title. That should have been a title match back in 2006, not 2020. But moving on, so I'm thrilled. I'm thinking this is great. Now they're going to have the draft, get somebody like AJ Styles, or maybe The Fiend to come over and challenge Drew. And then I see Raw starting off with the Legends and Drew, and just not happy. I will say I was thrilled because I did think Drew looked like he belonged in there with them, which I thought they did a great job. It wasn't like he was starstruck or anything. It was almost like he had stories with each of them, and they really tried to make him feel like he was, not that I'm saying he's a legend, but that he belonged. Like they're really trying to beef up this title run. And then by the end, I'm just like, oh, here we go again. Orton and McIntyre at Hell in a Cell. I was not happy at all. Then today I listened to your Clash review, and you and Michael Gross talking about the, where you guys thought it was going. And ultimately what I'm thinking here is I agree with you guys. This has to end at Hell in a Cell. And how do you have it end with Orton winning the title? The guy's gotten 3 rematches. And then he finally wins it, and they're just going to drop it. It just doesn't make sense to me, unless Drew is drafted. And I think that's going to be the key. If Drew gets drafted next week, then to me he's definitely dropping the title. If he does not, then I think they got to keep the title on him because you can't have him lose to Orton. And then what? They're going to have another rematch? I mean, these are my 2 favorite wrestlers. I'm done. I mean, to me, this was the ending this past week. I don't know why they're continuing this. Maybe it is like you guys said, the Legends interfering kind of made Drew look weak, so now they're going to have a Hell in a Cell, no interference, and McIntyre just dominates him. It wasn't a backslide victory. It wasn't tainted by the Legends. He just outright just destroys Orton. That's where I'm thinking it's going. Interested to hear your thoughts. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Hey, Jim. Always good to hear from you. Thanks for taking the time to call. So, as far as the whole Drew McIntyre story goes, it does seem a little bit suspicious if you have this end at Hell in a Cell, which all presumably and pretty safely we can say that this program will be extended through Hell in a Cell. Maybe beyond, but I don't know how much longer I would go with it. I mean, you might be able to squeeze another pay-per-view out of it. Hell in a Cell, again, since it's a just built-in pay-per-view, it doesn't always have to be the end-all, be-all of a program deserving of the Cell. It's just kind of a scheduled match that happens every year, so it doesn't have to be the finale. I just, in my mind, look at the cell and go, that's what it's built for, you know? So this probably will end at Hell in a Cell, even though it's just a built-in pay-per-view schedule. It does feel like it's just about time for this program to end with Randy and Drew. So if it does end with Randy capturing the WWE Championship, it is weird because you do not often have a babyface win the first couple of matches and then drop the belt and then they just stop feuding. I mean, that is very suspicious. Typically, it would be the other way around. Now, does this mean that Drew gets drafted? Maybe. Does it mean that Randy Orton gets drafted to SmackDown and Roman Reigns comes to Raw? You got to have a champion on one brand and a champion on the other. You can't have Universal and WWE champion on the same brand. So as random as they want to make it, yes, that's not going to happen. That's not going to be a scenario. I would honestly keep, to be totally honest with everybody, I would keep Orton and Drew McIntyre on the same brand. Well, as far as Monday Night Raw goes. I would also like somehow to have Drew and Roman Reigns come across one another at some point. Now, if you see Drew drop the belt at Hell in a Cell, and he gets subsequently drafted to SmackDown, and Randy's left on Raw, then that would explain why Drew is not able to get revenge and chase Randy now, who just took his title. Of which, by the way, I think Retribution will have a hand in that. If Randy Orton does end up beating Drew at Hell in a Cell, which I think he will. I do. I keep predicting a Randy Orton victory to my own fault. I just don't know why they haven't pulled the trigger on it. I know that you, among many other people, and rightfully so, don't think that Edge should challenge for the WWE Championship. And that was something that should have happened, in the mid-2000s. But it does happen. You've seen Triple H have a late career run that it wasn't that terrible. It was all a means to an end to get Roman Reigns the belt at Mania. You've had Brock Lesnar have a late career run and continues to have late career runs. I know he's not in WWE now, but he has. I mean, it's not uncommon that Edge could indeed capture the championship. Goldberg, another example. Now, does it create some resentment among fans where they go, this guy's been there and done that. Why does the old guy get the belt? But what people need to realize, if Edge wins, and again, see how far ahead I've booked now? I've not only booked this championship match with Edge and Orton at WrestleMania, but I've also assumed Randy Orton's going to win. Edge is going to be back by the time Orton is still champion to challenge each other to a program that ends at WrestleMania. I mean, so see how quickly that happens? It's so fast. But I think, honestly, where people complain about, the old guy hold the belt, you have to know that it's not about the old guy, so to speak. It's about them giving the rub to the newer guys for them to work with that older guy, so to speak. It's not about the senior veteran. It's not about them. It's about building the company, giving back. That's what sometimes people don't understand, and the resentment that people have is when older stars come back and capture a championship, that it's, oh my God, why? But you're looking at it wrong. You need to look at it through the lens of, what are they doing for new talent? That's what the point of it is. And at that point in your career, that's what they're looking for. That is what you should be doing at that point in your career. So I'm okay with an Edge championship run if he beats Orton at WrestleMania for the championship. Again, 5 steps ahead, but I'm okay with it. If that's the goal, is to have a nice moment with fans, if they're in person, God willing, and to have Edge work with new talent. Seth Rollins for the championship. There's one that comes to mind. There's a lot of possibilities. So I would love to see it, but this is going to be an interesting draft. That's for sure. And again, we'll be covering that in full next Friday, October 9th, with the Botch Guy right here on the WWE podcast. So, long-winded response, but thanks so much, Jim, for your thoughts. Very insightful, and please call back. All right, let's get to voicemail number 2.
Oh, hey, Matt. It's Bevan calling from Brisbane in Australia. Thanks for a great show. It really gives me a much-needed escape from my busy life as husband and father to my family. But there are two things I wanted to share and maybe ask you to crystal ball with me. It's to do with The Fiend. I know your opinions on him and that last year was held and it still painted him a lot in your eyes. However, I'm still obsessed with his character. I like that he's basically taken control of Alexa Bliss's mind. And watching her slow transition to evil is pretty cool to watch. I like the scene a few weeks back when she smashed Nikki Cross's coffee mug. Did you notice in the background Rambling Rabbit just there in the corner? Then it was followed by her subtle hair changes with the dreadlocks, and then I think she had like a black lace edge dress, which reminded me a lot of the material type of Abby the Witch in the Funhouse. My question though is, do you see them physically bringing the Fiend and Alexa together? Do you see it at all? I wonder how they're going to do that. Does it maybe depend on how deep into like the depths of evil she goes, and whether she too will have an alter ego like the Fiend and Bray Wyatt? And my other question is, how do you see the Fiend? Do you see the Fiend avenging his championship loss to Roman Reigns because he actually wasn't pinned in the triple threat match? Because when Alexa passed Roman on the ramp on SmackDown last week, she turned back and stared holes into the back of Roman. So that's reminded us that that's not over and that the Fiend wasn't forgotten. However, I do agree. I think Roman needs a long title run with a massive heat building on him. Do you see that in the long run the Fiend will take the belt off him first when the time finally comes for Roman to relinquish the belt? Anyway, I would love your feedback. And again, thanks for the great show and I hope you're well. Cheers, mate.
Well, thank you for the voicemail. And just so you know, you were a little muffled throughout the voicemail, so I don't know if maybe you didn't have your mouth close enough to the mic or maybe you had bad service, but I could hear you, but it wasn't every word, and I didn't catch your name. It was at the very beginning. I know you're from Australia. I did catch that, so I apologize. It's not that I'm disregarding your name. I just didn't catch it. So, but I did get the gist of your questions with the Fiend. Interesting topic, something I haven't really discussed as of late. I did touch on Alexa Bliss and how much I love her descent into madness. It is a intriguing storyline. It is believable with Alexa Bliss, who is sorely underutilized over the last 6 months with Nikki Cross. Yeah, they were tag team champions, but Alexa Bliss hasn't had a real character evolution in quite a while. It's been kind of the same Alexa Bliss for quite some time, and it was time for a change. To quote the late great Owen Hart, "Enough is enough. It's time for a change." That's how it felt with Alexa Bliss. And they struck it real well here. And I did catch Rambling Rabbit in the back. I love those little Easter eggs. Those are always fun to reward fans for paying attention to some detail. That's good. So your question that I did get, one of them was, do I see them bringing Alexa, the creative team, bringing Alexa and the Fiend together? The answer is yes. I don't see in a world in which these two don't. I mean, I think that's what we're building towards, is what is the end game? What happens when these two come together in the same ring? I would like to see Alexa become more and more nasty, but at the same time, how far do they go? Because are you going to cast the Fiend as a heel? I mean, what Alexa's doing, you could say, is heel-ish, but also kind of just awesome. I mean, what she's doing is intriguing. I think if fans were in attendance and real fans were there that were able to have a voice, fans would cheer this. I really believe that. I mean, she took out Lacey Evans, she took out Nikki Cross, a babyface and a heel. So there's no real defined role for Alexa Bliss as far as like good girl, bad girl, like which one is she? Now with Roman Reigns going heel, Braun Strowman going heel, they certainly need a big babyface turn, and that could be the Fiend, who, when you really look at it, he was kind of babyface all along. I don't think the fans ever truly hated the Fiend because he's so damn intriguing and different. So I would venture to guess that when these two come together, they'll be an evil good, or I shouldn't say evil good, an evil is an oxymoron, evil babyface team where they have such an edge. They almost kind of veer into heel territory, but they're so damn good with one another. It's like he's the king of hell, she's the queen of hell. She could be like his right hand person. I don't want to say right hand man. She's not, but that kind of relationship. That to me is the end game. Another end game could be that he is just toying with Alexa Bliss. He's still a heel, and Alexa Bliss is trying to break this voodoo that he has over her. So there are a couple of things to do, and that's what makes this so intriguing. I can't predict the outcome. I can't predict the outcome. I would like them to stay somewhat of a team of sorts. I think The Fiend needs an ally. His character is built to be solo, but Alexa Bliss's character makes sense, I think, to fit with him. And on screen would be a hell of an interesting pairing. So I'm with you. I don't know the end game, but I think it's one of those two scenarios I think that I just presented. And your other question about avenging his loss. Yeah, The Fiend could avenge his loss and should avenge his loss, given that Alexa Bliss stared daggers through Roman Reigns this past week on SmackDown when she was going up the ramp and he was going down the ramp. That was on purpose, clearly, and it's the energy of The Fiend working through Alexa Bliss's body, and it was believable. You think about the preposterousness of this, it's actually somewhat believable, and it's entertaining, and I don't feel like my intelligence is being insulted. So, I think that he will eventually avenge his loss. Could he be the one to finally take it off Roman Reigns? The Fiend has had so many quick title runs. I don't know if it's going to happen. It's not going to be for quite a while. I think Roman Reigns, as you alluded to, is going to have a hell of a long run as champion, and he should. I want him champion to the point of people losing their minds, pissed off. And The Fiend could. I don't know if that little look is going to lead to anything, but The Fiend is kind of just wallowing out there in the abyss, so to speak, with no clear direction. He's just introducing new characters on the Firefly Funhouse and doing his usual entertaining bits, but he doesn't have a program he can sink his teeth into other than Alexa Bliss by association with Alexa Bliss. So that, I think, is the storyline for The Fiend. What's happening with Alexa? So, and I'm fine with it. It sounds like it's kind of beneath The Fiend. It's not. This is really good stuff. And I love Alexa Bliss's hair and her look, everything. Okay, I've said enough. Let's move on to the next voicemail.
Hey, Matt, it's Brad from Pennsylvania. Just got a couple things that I wanted to share with you. I really enjoyed the Clash of Champions pay-per-view. Really enjoyed watching. I enjoyed the McIntyre match. I know some people didn't enjoy it. I thought it was awesome. I thought the Reigns match was awesome. The ladder match at the beginning, obviously, awesome match. Love the direction everything's going. I actually enjoyed Raw last night, too, for the most part. I was happy I didn't have to see Retribution. I didn't have to see Raw Underground. I did see Natalya and Lana. I could have done without that, but it is what it is. I know they need to fill time. One thing I wanted to say about the 24/7 title, I have a suggestion that maybe you would like, or WWE would like, if they'd ever actually hear this message. But the 24/7 title, instead of being this Falls Count Anywhere type thing, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, they should change it to anyone can challenge you to a match 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I think that would be a little better. Instead of just seeing the roll-ups, you could see Drew Gulak in the hallway, and he says, R-Truth, I challenge you to a match today, blah, blah, blah. Like one a day, something like that. Instead of you can't have a follow-up, a match after a match after a match, obviously, but I think that would be a better way to do the 24/7 title. It would actually make it a little more relevant, and then you could actually put it on somebody who actually matters, because it would be cool to say, oh, maybe Apollo Crews, I'll just use him as a quick example, he runs into the Hurt Business walking through the hallway. They could say, hey, I'm challenging you for the belt today. You know, anytime anybody wants, they can challenge instead of just grabbing you with the referee, rolling you up, and winning the belt. But that's all I got for you. I tried to keep the message as quick as I could. I know it can be a little long-winded sometimes, but take care, man.
Hey, Brad. Thanks so much for calling in. So, a really good suggestion there with the 24/7 title, because I'm with you. I've seen everything that there really is to see. The absurdity of the 24/7 title, the novelty of it, its shelf life is beyond expired. I mean, at this point, it's expired and it's growing mold, and I don't want anything to do with it. It is, it's kind of cute and fun at the beginning because the hardcore title had brought back so many, had so many memories of funny moments back in the late 90s, early 2000s when Mick Foley was holding in, and Terry Funk at one point. It kind of had everybody got a turn, right? I mean, there's some kind of dirty joke in there, but it was a fond memory. And then when it was brought back by Mick Foley as a 24/7 title, rebranded as such, it was kind of like, oh, cool. There's some funny things they could probably do with this. And they've done everything from weddings to on an airplane and in the middle of a consummation of the marriage with Drake Maverick. I mean, there's been some moments that have been funny, but it is really kind of, it's run its course. Its life is over. It's, as I described it last night, it's like juicy fruit gum. You know, it's fun and cool for the first 30 seconds, and then you're like, all right, I'm done with this, and you throw it away. And none of us expected. I didn't expect the 24/7 title to really last long. I mean, we knew it was a joke from the beginning. It's a built-in comedy segment. It's a joke of a championship, but it's supposed to be a joke of a championship. It's not trying to be presented as serious, and then they execute it as a joke. I mean, I'm not blaming WWE. They are doing and have done everything they can do for that championship. Every kind of insane scenario that they can do, they've done. I mean, we're all over it. So your suggestion of only being able to challenge inside the ring is a good one. I like that. That way it automatically gives somebody a match that night. And rather than the dreaded roll-up from behind, which is about 95% of the decisions and title changes of the 24/7 title, in-ring competition, good. Backstage roll-ups, bad. It cannot be any clearer than that. The only thing I would say is, then how can you got to rename it from the 24/7 championship, because it really won't be 24/7 if they always have to have a ring. I mean, if somebody's in a hotel room, is it first come, first serve and say, okay, well, I'm going to challenge you tonight. Well, how does that work? I mean, you get into the weeds with this. So you'd have to probably change it from the 24/7 title to the Sometimes title or the Raw and SmackDown title. I mean, it gets a little weird. I don't think they'll do it, but I'm all for a change in format or just eliminating the 24/7 title altogether. I know R-Truth won't have much to do other than probably sit in catering. And I'm a big R-Truth fan, but that seems to be the exclusive way they're using R-Truth is through the 24/7 championship and him dressing up as anything he needs to dress up as to get Vince McMahon a good chuckle backstage, which I probably believe is the only person laughing at these segments at this point is Vince McMahon. So thanks so much, Brad, and let's get on to the next voicemail.
Hi, it's Dylan Sandos. I just started watching your podcast about 2 weeks ago, and I know you like Roman Reigns as a heel a lot better, but Roman Reigns is my favorite wrestler, and I miss him being a face. You know, like it's just me because as a Roman Reigns fan, I miss him being a face, but I'm giving the heel turn a chance. But other than that, I think I'll work out for the heel tone. I really think I will. But all I'm saying is, do you think he'll be a face ever again? Because I really hope he does. That's what I wanted to know. Thank you.
Hey, Dylan. Thanks so much for popping in and asking a question. And about Roman Reigns, I mean, as you said, I've been a proponent of him being a heel from day one, and I stick by that because I think he has much more to offer as a heel. That said, you probably will get your wish of him turning babyface maybe within the next year or so. I would like WWE to go all out with this heel turn. I think that's originally what was missing from Roman Reigns being the success that he could have been, is giving the fans a chance to hate him and boo him, and instead they just plugged along blindly, just tunnel vision to championship run after championship run to WrestleMania main event to WrestleMania main event, ignoring those fans and a lot of fans that were resentful of the character and the booking of the character, of not giving them a chance to hate him, and instead immediately positioning him transparently as a top babyface figure when the reaction that he was getting was not lining up with that position, that casting, if you will. So I think this heel turn is going to be the best thing that ever happened to him, not just from a money perspective, from a TV perspective, from a character development perspective, but also, more importantly, getting him to where WWE wanted him to be all along. And that is their top babyface. Because I think when he comes out of this heel run, whatever that is, and I hope it's a year, maybe two, I hope it's no shorter than a year. I mean, I really want them to just plug along and go to town on this, because there's so much there. But when he comes out of this on the other side, fans are going to embrace him because they've had the chance to boo him. I hope there's an evolution of the character. He doesn't just put his vest back on and go back to being, Superman punching, tater tot loving Roman Reigns. They need to have an evolution. He needs to have an evolution of the character when he comes out of this, and not just go back to what the fans resented. So I think it's going to be the best thing ever to happen for his babyface turn is actually a heel turn. So you'll get your wish sooner than later. For the last 6 years, he's been a babyface. He's only been heel for about a month. So I think we have some ways to go, but you will get your wish sooner than later, at least probably in the next year, I hope. So, all right. Well, that concludes our voicemail segment for this show, and let's dive into Monday Night Raw. And I'm going to start with the ending of Raw. I'm going to start with the end of Raw. I'm not going to make you guys wait and keep you hooked. I am going to talk about Randy Orton here, who comes on the screen after Drew McIntyre came out to the ring with Ric Flair in the ring, Big Show in the ring. Big Show looks, by the way, I know some people said he looks older. I think he looks younger with his face shaved. I mean, it's nice to see Big Show with his face shaved. He looks kind of weird, but I actually like it. We've seen him with that kind of that beard forever. So I like that. He's also looked like he's lost some weight. He's keeping himself in good shape. Ric Flair just looks plain old. I mean, but that's Mother Nature. Shawn Michaels, please keep your hat on. I do not need to see your receding hairline. And look, I don't exactly have a great hairline myself, but when you expose that from what people knew you as, it certainly adds about 20 years to your age perception wise anyway. But Shawn is Shawn. I'm glad he didn't make jokes or when he comes out and is kind of like not taking himself too seriously and making jokes, and he pretends he's out of breath when he comes to the ring because he's so old and ha 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 he. No, like Shawn Michaels is so good when he's serious, and he's so bad when he's not. And I'm glad we got the Shawn Michaels that was at least neutral to semi-serious with Drew, and there was no just terrible comedy from him. And it was serious, and Shawn is he's A+ when he's serious. So that was good. And then, of course, Christian, who I guess he's a legend. I mean, in his own right, he is, I guess. But to stand there with Big Show, Ric Flair, and Shawn Michaels, it's a little much. But it makes sense that he's there given what happened to him and what that Edge is his best friend. But if you're going to, put them in tiers, I think Christian's not exactly up to that level, albeit a really good career. One of the better wrestlers from a technical standpoint, had a great program with Randy Orton a number of years ago, had a really good title run, good on the mic. I'm not taking anything away from Christian, but when you put him in the Elite Hall of Fame, or put him in the, standing in the ring with all the Hall of Famers, he's kind of like the odd man out. But I'm fine with it. I'm not mad that he was there or anything. It's just kind of like visually unbalanced when you see Christian there. You're like, hey, I get why you're here. But, these are Hall of Famers that have had all-time great careers, and you've had a good to really good career, but these are great careers. It's one of those. And I feel like I'm knocking Christian. I'm not. I really have nothing bad to say about Christian. But we get to Drew, who felt like he belonged as somebody pointed out to me earlier. He felt like he belonged. That's the key. He didn't feel out of place. He didn't feel like he was the starstruck WWE superstar who was just, as a boy, I looked up to you, Rick. It's amazing that I'm here with you. It wasn't any of that. It was just a peer-to-peer respect. It wasn't a little child to his real life superhero type of dynamic. That was nice. So I would also like, as a side note, and I've said this for forever, can we please just refrain from whoever comes to the ring first, if it's a promo, to not say, "Welcome to Monday Night Raw"? Can we please stop? Is anybody that's sitting at home going, "Oh man, what the hell am I watching? Can somebody tell me what I'm watching?" And they're waiting for somebody to come out and be like, "Oh, that's right, that we're watching Monday Night Raw. Thank God he told me." No, it's a small thing, and I know that, but it immediately sets you in the mode of it's one of those like mandates by corporate, because everyone says it. And again, not if there's a match off the bat, but if there's a promo, which more often than not, it's a non-wrestling segment to open Raw, more often than not. And it's always started with that sentence of, "Welcome to Monday Night Raw." Really? I don't know. I don't know why that gets under my skin so much, because it just is an immediate reminder of the micromanagement and requirements of creative or Vince to say that. So anyway, let's move on to the actual task at hand here, which is Drew getting interrupted by Randy Orton, who backstage is saying, basically enjoy this moment, and I'm going to say, you don't even know what's coming. You think you went to hell. You don't have any idea, right? Alluding to Hell in a Cell. I mean, the minute he said the word hell, I go, "Oh, Hell in a Cell. Here we go." Didn't officially challenge him, but it was laying the foundation, laying the groundwork for that match coming up in a few weeks. So, about a month. We had them having him visually leave the building. There was watching him, the camera followed him to leave the building. And then at the end of Raw, we got Randy Orton dressing up as a janitor to interrupt the Legends who were playing Texas Hold'em, I believe. Now, plausibility issue number one. Here we go. Is cameraman following a janitor? Why? Why would that ever be a thing? And I noticed when the Hurt Business were going to the ring, they threw a drink at the janitor and tell him to clean it up. And I'm like, that janitor looks awfully big to be a janitor. So I knew something immediately was up. And having, a camera. Why the hell is a camera following a janitor? Does that make sense to anybody? The answer is no. Okay, so that's plausibility number one. And I actually thought they did get me with this. I'll hand it to them. I thought it was going to be a member of Retribution. I don't know why. I dismissed Randy Orton. I mean, it was such an amateur rookie mistake for me to not think it was Randy Orton. I really didn't. So those of you that are probably out there going, "How did you not see that coming?" I just didn't. I don't know why. It just slipped my mind. I thought it was the leader of Retribution, but it's not. Randy Orton came in, turned off the lights, armed himself with a steel chair, and was whacking. It sounded like he was whacking like a steel support the whole time. And nobody was screaming. Nobody said a thing. And Randy Orton just apparently laid waste to everyone in the room. Again, no screaming, and it sounded like steel on steel. Pretty sure that shouldn't be the sound effect for hitting steel on human flesh.
You're listening to the WWE Podcast. We'll be right back after this short break.
Are you in a position where you need to sell your home? Perhaps you're facing financial difficulties, or you're facing a foreclosure, a divorce, or maybe you're just relocating because of retirement. maybe there are certain
other
that's
dead
not what it
issues,
sounds like. If
and
you
you
take
just
a
need
chair
to sell your home,
and you
well,
whack
here is
someone
a great
in the back
solution for you.
I mean,
And that
or in the
solution
head.
is Bright Realty
It would make a
Investment.
ding.
They are a
I mean, if it
leading
hit the
real
flesh in
estate
the
solutions
skull,
company,
or,
and their mission is to work
the
hand
flat
in
red
hand
in the
with
skull.
all parties.
It would not make
to handle
steel on
every
steel sound.
situation
So,
with the utmost
whatever. It's nitpicking the sound
and care.
effects.
So if you're in
It
a
is at least
particularly
plausible that he turned off the
financial
lights
situation
and immediately
right
attacked
now,
everyone
and you
with
need to protect
night
your
vision
credit,
goggles.
then
Fine.
don't waste another minute.
That
Head
would
on
make
over
sense
to
because he wouldn't have been able to take them out had he not turned off the
That's
lights.
Bright
And I was trying to think, well, how could they have turned the lights on?
And when you go to the website,
there's
there's
a
a
really
makes sense.
easy
So
form
as
you
much
fill
as
out,
the
it's
plausibility
right at the
of,
top
and they'll
of
get
the
back
steel
to
on
you
steels and sound
immediately.
effect
So
and the cameraman
why wait?
following
Don't let that
the
divorce,
janitor.
that retirement, or other
I'm
bad
actually
debt
going to say that
situation
this was a segment
take
that I'm
control
fine
of your
with,
life. Take control
because
back and head
it
on
is
over to
somewhat believable that this could happen.
BrightRealtyInvestment.com where they can buy
But herein
your
lies
house,
the other
protect
problem
your credit,
of
and get
they
your life
exacted
back
the
on
revenge
track.
on Orton.
Again, head on over
Orton
to
comes back
Bright Realty
and
Investment
retaliates again. So is there another retaliation coming? There has to be. Randy Orton, I would assume, once Edge returns, is going to flatten Orton, or just completely dismember him. I mean, like I said, this has to end. This whole program with Orton and Edge, which is still is being interwoven, even with Drew McIntyre there, you're still thinking about Edge. It has to end with Orton being actually bloodied and torn to pieces in the middle of the ring to have him stretchered out. That's actually how this should end. I really want that. We need to go a little bit TV-14 here. Have Orton blade and get some color and be just completely demolished. I wouldn't even mind if Vince McMahon okayed a chair shot to the head. Again, I'm not advocating for the stars or the wrestlers to risk concussions or risk their actual health for that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying get a worked chair. If Vince has got the money, I'm sure you could have one created that it's not steel. It's just a very bendable metal that makes a nice dent sound. You could do it, but a chair shot to the skull, if done correctly, and if it's not risking the health and safety of Orton, would be to me totally admissible in this case. And I think Edge should do that, given that he said before he left, he is the rated R superstar now. That Edge that's just happy to be back is gone. So I would love to see that. That's how this whole thing should end. That should be the payoff, is Orton bloodied in the middle of the ring, maybe a chair shot to the skull, and just completely destroyed. And everyone gets their licks in. But outside of that, the only other thing that I might nitpick, but it's kind of a big oversight, is why the hell is Randy Orton walking fine? Why is there no neck brace? Why is there no ill effects from the night before? They talked about the hellacious beating they put on each other, and Drew comes out. He's limping a little. I mean, but it wasn't dramatic at all, and hardly noticeable if you didn't even look for it. And Randy Orton didn't even sell anything. There was no physical markings of a beating. Yeah, we saw the marks on Drew McIntyre, the legitimate welts on his back in the match that he had later in the night. But there was nothing from Orton. I was kind of disappointed. I'm like, so there's just no consequences from that match? He gets kicked in the head multiple times from a Claymore and then a punt to the skull. No retribution. No pun intended, I guess. There was just no consequences for that? Like, what? I mean, it just speaks to the lack of selling as a whole in the industry, not just during a match itself, but the consequences of a match. I mean, there's just nothing, oftentimes, which is why Sasha Banks and the neck brace I love so much, because it's actual selling. And this, again, you do all these things that he got super kicked, thrown off the top of an ambulance, all these things, and he's walking and talking like he was in a spa the last 24 hours and just come out from a nice pampering massage session or something. It's just, I don't know. I still love Orton. This didn't hurt him. It's just detail, man. Detail. It matters. And I'm not asking for much. Just do what makes people feel for wrestling. It has a soul when you sell things. Okay, I think I've made my point. The next thing here, in no particular order, is Zelina Vega once again getting a championship opportunity against Asuka. And in the pre-match promo, Zelina Vega had said that yeah, she didn't lose last night, and that I think it was the announcer or the interviewer who had said that Kayla Braxton, who had said that you're basically a sore loser for what you did and all that, and then she said that she gets an opportunity tonight and that she's not going to be ready for Zelina, and then Asuka comes in and starts doing her gibberish and her weird dancing and things like that, and says basically you're not going to be ready for Asuka. I mean, can Asuka please get a new catchphrase? please. I mean, Asuka's wearing a little thin on me because of overexposure. She's being just overexposed so much. I need a break from Asuka before I start to turn on her. I mean, especially after 2 nights ago at the pay-per-view, when she was also the person that decided to accept the open challenge from Bayley. I mean, we had 2 matches from Asuka. She shows up on SmackDown, I think it was like a month and a half ago, to get into the Battle Royal for the SmackDown Women's Championship. I mean, I'm getting too much Asuka, and I know she's limited in English, but the whole "you're not ready for Asuka" thing it's overstated. I don't know. I'm just starting to sour a little bit on the Asuka character, and then maybe that's just me. But she's still great in the ring. Let's not mistake that. But I think I'm just seeing too much of her. But Zelina ends up losing. I'm fine with that. They never explained why Zelina Vega got a rematch, given that she lost. Typically, it's the champion that loses the championship and then gets an automatic rematch. Although they said they did away with that last year, and they didn't. But none of this is ever explained, how people earn championship opportunities. But she got one and she lost. And I'm fine with it, even as big of a fan of Zelina Vega as I am. It's not her time yet. Maybe Becky returns in 6 to 10 months and she ends up taking it from Asuka, or who knows? I mean, but all right. Well, let's move on here to Keith Lee, who answered the challenge, the open challenge by Andrade, who then berated Zelina Vega and said, "You're nothing without me." And well, didn't she already leave? I mean, no, she left because you guys were constantly fighting. I mean, with Angel Garza. So that was kind of weird. I mean, it's like Zelina's like, "I already left. I'm on my own." Like, okay, But WWE seems to be on this trend of open challenges. I mean, we've had Bayley's open challenge, we had Drew's open challenge, we had Andrade's open challenge. And they're just on a barrage of open challenges, which is fine because it adds intrigue. And open challenges are like, oh, who's next? Who could pop up? It does create a little bit of a mystery. So I'm no problem with the format. It's just interesting that they have a multitude of them in a very short period of time. And so Keith Lee comes in and they have a good match. I mean, both guys are good. It's interesting that Andrade has fallen so far that he is just basically being squashed now. And yeah, Keith Lee came in and made an immediate huge impact by beating Randy Orton. Still, strongly, heatedly disagree with that, and never losing a match. I mean, he has yet to lose a match. He was in a program for the Orton for a couple of weeks to establish him as a big time star, and now he's kind of fallen to the level that I thought he would be at and should be at right now, is with the Andrades of the world, and he pretty solidly, definitively beat Andrade in the middle of the ring with a spirit bomb. And fine. I mean, I hope this program continues and Angel Garza maybe shows up and I don't know, maybe pretends to align himself with Andrade and ends up turning on him anyway. And I mean, does anybody really care about that anymore? Yeah, the answer is no. But Keith Lee is right where he should be, kind of in the mid-upper card, and just getting exposure to the fans that may not have known who he was in NXT. You got to pretend no one's ever seen you before, because not all fans. You can look at the ratings. Numbers will tell you the facts that the fans that watch NXT or watch Raw do not translate to all the fans that watch NXT. So it is a good idea for WWE to just, they made a big impact, to me almost too big, and then they toned it down here, which is where Keith Lee should live for now. Future world champion, yes. But right now, the answer, no. So, moving on here to, and good God, the Rey Mysterio family, King's Court. let me just say something about King's Court and Miz TV and the Kevin Owens show and all these just farce talk shows that WWE uses so often as platforms to further a storyline. Can we find something more creative than these talk shows? I mean, I know we haven't seen King's Court in a while. You know that it's basically a Jerry Springer-esque type of format, especially with Jerry the King Lawler, but I'm really getting a bit tired of the whole format. Maybe it's Miz TV that's turning me off, because I feel like I see Miz TV every single week, and I'm so sour on The Miz and Morrison from a character perspective that they are really tainting my need to have a talk show. And don't forget about the VIP lounge. That's another one too. They love them. WWE loves themselves some talk shows, don't they? I mean, it's just I don't know. But nonetheless, we did get a King's Court with the Mysterio family, and lo and behold, we get the entire Mysterio family. The wife is I'm pretty sure she's like the Terminator. She's like, if you guys seen Terminator 3, where it was the girl who was the Terminator in that one, the bad one anyway. I think it came out in like 2003 it might have been. But that's what she looks like to me. I mean, she doesn't say a whole lot. She's kind of emotionless at times, doesn't know how to act. And Dominic actually showed some fire this week, a little bit of personality, something I've been asking for forever, that he's just also kind of a robot. It's like we're dealing with Skynet. And that's what it feels like. Like it's like walking, talking Skynet. And those of you that haven't watched the Terminator series, you probably don't get my reference of Skynet. But the basics of it are, I don't understand their acting abilities. As far as like, if someone told you that you are in front of a live audience, that you have a dad that would say in front of millions of people that you're naive and you don't know things of this world, which is what happened last week with Aaliyah and Rey Mysterio. Well, number one, how is that even possible given that Rey Mysterio is your dad? So you don't know anything about the wrestling world? You don't know anything? Even though your dad was one of the probably the most famous luchador in the history of professional wrestling, a legend in WWE, and you know nothing of this world? Does he not share anything with you? And you're 19? Okay. So 19's young. You can be naive to a lot of things. Are you really going to say that about your daughter? I mean, it's just bad job out of the writing team, bad job out of the execution last week. But this week didn't get a whole lot better. Aaliyah was better than I thought she would be. I thought it would be a complete train wreck. And it was just a car crash. So I guess that the bar is set really low at this point. And I think most of us are just over this whole storyline. The whole Murphy angle with him texting Aaliyah, nothing was even that bad. It was just, here if you need to talk. That's it. And everyone's up in arms. How could you do this? You don't know him like I do. Oh, they're like, wait a minute. They're just text that. I mean, like, that's all we saw. It's not that they said, they didn't say, I had a great time spending the whole night with you. I'll never forget it. There's things that they could have done that are PG that could have inferred that they maybe slept together, right? And instead it was just, I'm here if you need to talk, and I may take you up on that. Oh, okay. I mean, that's about as innocent as it gets, and it just caused this explosion. Oh, God. I mean, am I supposed to really care about a 19-year-old's love interest right now? Is that the best that the WWE's got? Is Rey Mysterio's daughter, who may be interested in one of their former assailants in Murphy? You know who I feel really bad for in all this? Seth Rollins. Because Murphy, this is the most interesting thing Murphy's ever had going on in his entire career in WWE. But for Seth Rollins to be involved in this, I kind of feel for him. I think he's being dragged down right now. And yeah, this was an angle that I praised previously for weeks, that it was overachieving and, it over-delivered, and I don't think anyone expected it to be this good. And then they decided to do the romance. And we all saw the hint of that during the cage match with Dominic and Seth Rollins. And it has just descended into the depths of hell from here. And I don't know how far it's going to be before we climb out. I said destination is probably Hell in a Cell, where this whole thing just mercifully ends. When they start going to romance angles for 19-year-old girls, you know they're digging and scraping at the bottom of the barrel. I mean, I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to appeal to a wider audience. It's not just about a specific demographic. Who is this appealing to? Tell me. Tell me what your demographic target audience is for this particular segment. Oh, we got to have everything. We have a little comedy. We have a little action. We have a little... No. This is none of those. This is none of the above, Vince. This is just bad. That's what this is. That's the answer I'd put on the test. I don't know. It's getting worse by the week, and they're really taking a program that ran its course and was good to very good at times, and they have now just basically put it in the toilet, and well, you can imagine the rest of what I'm going to say. So, I have nothing really to say about this. There's a budding romance, as many suspected, between Aaliyah and Murphy, and Murphy is somehow not attacking Seth Rollins. I thought they were like broken up for sure, and yet they are like, he's hugging him, or Seth hugged Murphy backstage, and I just don't understand it. I'm not following how they're even still together after what Seth did to him, for 2 weeks in a row, just beating the holy hell out of him. I don't get it. I don't get it, and Seth is the real victim here, in my estimation. Okay, moving down the line here. The main event of Monday Night Raw was... Oh, actually, before I get to that, Retribution did not exist. We got a bit of a tease of them possibly coming out, and they didn't with the Hurt Business. And that was fine with me. Apparently, they've been quarantined for 2 weeks, so that is a positive for those that are not a fan of the Retribution angle. Everybody raise your hands in unison, please. I'm doing it right now. And maybe you are, and that's great. I'm not telling you to not like something. I'm giving you the reasons why I don't like something. When something's not logical and there's massive gaping crater holes in storyline logic, sorry, you've lost me. But and I don't know if you guys can hear the rain here. If you hear like background noise that sounds like rain, that's because it is. It hasn't rained here in like freaking 3 weeks. So that's what that noise is. I was kind of startled by it too. I forgot what rain sounded like. But this whole storyline of Retribution, again, not being there this week, good. The Retribution angle, you can hear myself and Michael Gross on last night's show destroy it. I mean, we took it, lit it on fire, and buried the ashes last night. And rightfully so. So, again, good. Retribution wasn't there. I don't think Raw Underground was there either. I mean, I looked through even the notes. It wasn't on the Hulu version of Raw. And I did not see it in the notes of the other stuff that wasn't on Hulu of Raw. So that's also a positive. Very good. If it wasn't on Raw, hooray. Then we also, again, the main event, as I was getting to, Drew McIntyre comes out, and again, he issued the open challenge for anybody to face him for the WWE Championship that night. And out comes none other than Robert Roode, who answered the call. And I understand what WWE is trying to do with Drew. He's a fighting champion, by God. That's what every babyface good champion should be, is a fighting, defending champion. But you know what you're also doing? You're making them look like a fool, and you're devaluing the championship. You may ask why. Well, I'll tell you why. You're making them look like a fool because they would put themselves at risk of losing the championship that they fought so hard to get to and capture, that they told you that their life's work is on their shoulder, and yet they're willing to just put themselves at risk when they're vulnerable to show what kind of fighting champion they are. They don't back down from a fight. It's so, take your vitamins and say your prayers and all that kind of like, Sunday church girl type of like goody 1980s bad babyface credentials, right? I mean, I don't know how else to say it. It's stomach churning when I hear that, even from Drew McIntyre. It's blatantly exposing their view of what a babyface champion should be when they have to say, that's the kind of champion I want to be. Every single babyface that captures a major championship always will say that they will fight anyone at any time for this. They're not backing down from a fight. Can we please stop? I'm not saying they need to run from the championship, from the challenges. What I am saying is they need to look smart. That's not being smart as a babyface doing that. Furthermore, the other problem is with the championship itself, you're devaluing the championship by saying anyone can challenge for this. Well, if you had respect for the belt that you say you do, why does anybody get an opportunity? How does that work? I mean, it's a little bit contrarian, if you ask me. So I've never been a fan of that whole logic, and also it devalues the championship. Nonetheless, we get Robert Roode, Mr. One Word to a Gimmick Glorious, who is good in the ring. He's got a great physique and a great entrance music and a good entrance. But he is Mr. One Word. I mean, that's what he lives by one word. He is just so one-dimensional, but he's really good at that one dimension. So it's kind of hard to knock him at the same time. I hope they do more with him. Obviously, he lost. So that is not unpredictable that he lost, as he should. But he changed his look a little bit. He grew his hair out. He took the Sami Zayn road and decided to grow his beard, grow his hair. Fine. Good. Change your look a little. Make people get the idea that you're evolving. Totally good, great. It makes sense. He looked pretty good in the ring. I have no complaints. He ended up losing clean, and that was pretty much it until Randy Orton did what he did to the whole Legends group that was backstage playing cards. Oh, and Mandy Rose debuted. This was not on the Hulu version, so I did catch highlights of this. And it was Lana and Natalya versus Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose. So, we got a tag team match with Mandy Rose. The all-important Mandy Rose gets thrown into a tag team match that involves Lana. Oh, God, I just don't understand. I don't understand. And you know what? Mandy Rose, fine. I mean, her getting away from Otis is the best thing for her, best thing for Otis. I mean, we're done with it. It's dead. It's gone. It was fun. It's great. Move on. And she gets put in a tag team match. I mean, it's fine to introduce her. A little bit underwhelming, giving all the hype that they certainly put into Mandy Rose being traded. And speaking of trades, boy, whoever managed the trade of AJ Styles to SmackDown for Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode certainly should be fired. It was never explained who made the trade, and nor did we ever understand why it happened or how trades happen. None of that's ever proposed. But, boy, you get Dolph Ziggler, who's in Raw Underground one week, wrestling a meaningless match the next week, to commentary the following week, and you get Robert Roode, who wasn't there for the first 3 months, and now is back and gets immediately flattened. You cannot tell me that those two guys equal one AJ Styles. I mean, the math just doesn't work there. So that was one of the worst trades in the history of sports, period, if you ask me. Don't forget, that's how they came there, and that's why AJ Styles is on SmackDown. The trade. Kevin Owens versus Aleister Black. Aleister Black just apparently doesn't need his eye patch anymore. I'm kind of sad about that. I actually thought it added something to his character. It added kind of an edgy, badass look to his character, so I don't know why he decided to take it off. I would have just kept it. It would have been like D'Lo Brown, where he just continued to wear the chest protector. Those that don't know what I'm talking about, sorry. It's a 1998 reference to the Attitude Era with D'Lo Brown. Nonetheless, I was disappointed he took it off. It was a short match and ends with a disqualification on Aleister Black for incidental contact with the referee. Boy, these referees have a massive problem now. They're counting things when they shouldn't count them. They're disqualifying people when they shouldn't disqualify them. They are they're missing calls. They're making calls on their own to stop matches. Can somebody oversee this? I mean, yeah, I know that it's produced, but referee. Did they just take anybody that applies? That's what it sounds like. I mean, that's what it looks like. Is that you can just be? Are you breathing? And are you alive? If the answer is yes, congratulations, you are a WWE referee. Are those really the qualifications? And in the interview, are they like, can you open your eyes? Can you see? Yes, sir, I can. Well, congratulations, you start Monday. I mean, the ineptitude of referees, and I know I'm not actually saying that their true job is to make sure it's an official this competition. And no. I'm saying that the booking of the referees, that's my key, they're made to look like doofuses. Doofuses. Like, it's to the point now of very noticeable. And I don't talk about referees that much. It's getting to the point of distractingly noticeable. And referees shouldn't be that big of a factor here. So, just a side note there. And that's pretty much Monday Night Raw. One little side note, too. The Rock recently came out about his political stance of supporting Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Interesting timing, given the election's a month away. And I guess a lot of hate has come the way of The Rock on Twitter and social media, of which he said, I'm not going to respond. I'm not going to, get into the mud with you guys. Everyone has a voice. It's just an important conversation. Well, again, I'm not going to be debating whether or not I support Kamala Harris and Joe Biden or not. My point is, if you're going to put a political stance out there and you're not willing to have the conversation and just say you don't want to have the conversation, well, doesn't that kind of defeat the point of having the conversation, right? I mean, come on, Rock. If you really believe that these two are the greatest option for our country, well, then debate, right? Like, stand your ground. Don't say that I'm not going to respond back. Everyone has their own voice. Well, wait a minute. You just said that having this conversation is the most important. I mean, it was kind of weird. So anyway, nonetheless, it's certainly a strategic move by The Rock, knowing how big of a following he has, to hope that his followers also follow suit and go, I love The Rock. Well, I guess I'll vote for Joe Biden. There is a clear connection and a very intentional timing of The Rock for the first time ever getting involved in politics as far as where he stands politically. So leave that as you may. I'm not providing my own personal opinions. It's a dangerous thing to do, but from a news perspective, this is simply news, not opinions, of The Rock coming out with his stance on who he's supporting for the election coming up in about a month. So, by the way, if you thought the whole riots over the last few months are nuts, imagine the election night. Imagine the week after. And imagine if Donald Trump wins. Again, I mean, just saying, if he wins, look out. I mean, this country is going to be insane. I mean, one way or the other. Things are going to get nuts. So, nonetheless, guys, we're here for you. We're here for wrestling. We're here for your fun. We're here for playing in the sandbox and talking about professional wrestling, that sports entertainment genre that we all love. So, all right, again, tomorrow, big nostalgia night with Muhammad Hassan as the topic. Really looking forward to that. And then, of course, your review for NXT coming on Thursday. And back with your weekend review coming up on Sunday with a co-host that you haven't heard from in a while. So that'll be fun as well. Head on over to Patreon if you don't like commercials. You want a commercial free, head on over to patreon.com/WWE podcast. And that way you can get no commercials for $1 a month, the entire library of this show on Patreon. So also head on over to the website at www.podcast.com, on Twitter at wrestling_audio if you want to follow us there, youtube.com/the WWE podcast. So tons of ways to get in touch with us, and I hope you will. So with all that said, guys, as always, thanks so much for listening. I'll be talking to you soon. Are you in a position where you need to sell your home? Perhaps you're facing financial difficulties, or you're facing a foreclosure, a divorce, or maybe you're just relocating because of retirement. Maybe there are some other debt issues and you just need to sell your home. Well, here is a great solution for you. And that solution is Bright Realty Investment. They are a leading real estate solutions company, and their mission is to work hand in hand with all parties to handle every situation with the utmost professionalism and care. So if you're in a particularly stressful financial situation right now and you need to protect your credit, then don't waste another minute. Head on over to brightrealtyinvestment.com. That's brightrealtyinvestment.com. And when you go to the website, there's a really easy form you fill out. It's right at the top, and they'll get back to you immediately. So why wait? Don't let that divorce, that retirement, or other bad debt situation take control of your life. Take control back and head on over to brightrealtyinvestment.com, where they can buy your house, protect your credit, and get your life back on track. Again, head on over to brightrealtyinvestment.com.